Good evening, everyone. In this video, I will do my best to show you how to install Ubuntu Linux in an old laptop. Let me explain. This particular laptop was given to me by a friend, and it no longer runs the Microsoft operating system. And I know you probably have some old desktops and laptops that simply no longer run Microsoft or any other operating system like that. Okay? But what you may not know is that computers like this can actually run Linux. Now, what is Linux? It is also an operating system. But it's not like Microsoft, and it's not like the Apple operating system. It's not weighted down with tons of stuff. And the best part is that Linux is free. Isn't that nice? Okay. Now, the first thing you're going to need when you do something like this is you're going to need an old laptop or desktop, either one. Okay? And then, now I personally have this, and I'm going to hold this up for the camera here. This is a Microsoft ergonomic split key keyboard. It'll make it a lot easier for me to type because your hands, if you notice, they're not stretched out like this. They're actually curved in. Okay? If you'll notice, if you'll curve in your hands, you'll see that your natural position of your hands is curved in rather than straight out. Okay? Now, what else will you need for this configuration? Well, the second thing you're going to need is one of these. And I'll hold it up here. This is what they call a flash drive. Okay, you can see this is a flash drive. You're going to need one. And then you're going to need one of these. And this, there are desktop hard drives and then there are laptop hard drives. And the laptop hard drives, as you can plainly see here, is not as big as the desktop hard drives. Now, why are you going to need a brand new one of these? Why are you going to need a brand new laptop or desktop hard drive? Because most likely the laptop or desktop hard drive that you have at the moment may have Microsoft Windows in it, even though it doesn't work anymore. And really what you want to do is you want to clean this out. You might get lucky and clean it out. Mine just wouldn't clean out. There was damage to it, and I just finally had to get rid of it and get a new hard drive. These hard drives usually run you about 60 to 80 bucks. That's not really bad. And this kind of a flash drive here would probably run you about 10 bucks. I would highly recommend that you get yourself a 32 gig hard drive or bigger, and I will explain that to you later on in this video, why you should do that. Okay. Now, the first thing you want to do with the hard drive if you buy a brand new one is you want to go ahead and place it. You want to take the old hard drive out of your old laptop, and you want to place the new one in there. I've already done that part. Now, the second step you want to do on something like this is you want to go ahead and turn on your computer, and you're going to want to hit the F2 key repeatedly. And I'll show you why in just a second. So we're going to go ahead and turn on the computer, and we're going to hit the F2 key until we reach a certain point. All right? Watch this. We're just going to keep hitting the F2, and you'll go into a menu much like this one. Now, every computer will have a different menu. Alright? This is what my menu is going to look like. Okay? What you're going to do is you're going to go and you're going to use your arrow keys to go over to the part where it says boot. Okay? Now, right now, my computer is set up that when the computer first turns on, it's going to check the hard drive for an operating system. Okay? And then the next thing it's going to do is if it can't find an operating system on the hard drive, it's going to immediately go to the USB drive to see if there's an operating system. Now, when you're setting up Microsoft for the very first time, what you'll want to do is you'll either want to use the USB drive. Okay, this is the USB drive here. You'll either use it or your CD DVD drive. You'll have that as your primary drive. Okay, now each computer is going to work just a little bit differently because each computer has their own BIOS. And this is the beginning input-output system. This is what you're seeing right here. Okay? So, what you want to do is you want to tell your computer to either, when it turns on, the first thing it should do is it should check either your flash drive, and this is what we're going to have it do. We're going to have it check the flash drive first, and if you don't have it check the flash drive, you can always put a disk in there. You can say, alright, I want you to check the DVD drive first. I don't want you to check the hard drive first because there's nothing in there. We just put a fresh hard drive in here and there's nothing in that hard drive right now. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to check the USB drive or the DVD drive to see if there's an operating system in that. Then you can then set other ones. You can say, okay, when you first turn on, take a look at the flash drive. If you find no operating system there, I want you to check the DVD drive. If you find no operating system there, I want you to check the hard drive. Okay. In this particular case, I have already installed Ubuntu Linux into this computer. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hit the escape button, which is going to exit us out of the system. And as you can see, this is going to boot up. And as you see, we've already got Ubuntu Linux in this computer. Okay? And eventually it is going to boot up. And hold on, there you go. Now Ubuntu doesn't boot up as quickly as Microsoft. Microsoft is practically on right off the bat, but Ubuntu doesn't boot up as fast. Now, why would you want to put Ubuntu into a computer like this? Well, I'll tell you the reason why. If your computer goes down, say you have a computer and it goes down, you can use this, alright, and the computer is then still usable, and boy, I forgot to plug my computer in. Whoops. Dumb old me. One of the first things you want to do with a laptop like this is you want to make sure that the computer is plugged in. And I didn't do that, and I am terribly sorry. As you can see here, I'm going to move this over like that. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to plug this in. We're going to go behind me and like this, and we'll plug this in here. There we go. Now then, this should work. Okay. Now, unlike what I'm doing here, oh dang, I forgot to turn my numlock on. Hope I don't have to turn this computer back off and do this again. Okay, even I can make a mistake once in a while. Oh. Well, alright. Now, hold on. Stop it. What the? Hold on. That should let me in. Okay. Now I'm in. Alright. Let's go on here. when you first have Ubuntu, the first thing you're going to have to do is, and let me try to say this right, you first have to have a Microsoft system. Okay, you say, well, mine's crashed. Well, go to a friend and get onto their Microsoft machine, and you're going to go to a website, and I'm going to show you where that website is. And when you do, you will be able to install Ubuntu into your flash drive. That's the first thing you're going to do. You're going to install Ubuntu into your flash drive. And that's because you got to take this flash drive and you got to put it in your broken computer and install Ubuntu onto the new hard drive from this. Okay? It's the new wave nowadays. They don't just issue you a disk anymore. You have to actually do something else. Alright? So, you say, well, where is this website? Well, I'm going to leave you a hyperlink down here to the website, and I'm going to tell you exactly how this thing operates in just a moment. So I'd like for you to stay tuned, because I'm going to tell you the rest of it in just a minute. Okay, I have returned. Alright, now the first thing you're going to want to do is when you go to your friend's house and they have Microsoft, okay, what you're going to do is you're going to go to this website, which is called the Universal USB Installer. Okay? Now then, the software that they want you to install is very harmless. It will not do anything. As a matter of fact, it will just probably just sit there like a lunk once you use it, and it will probably do nothing after that. Unless, of course, they want to do something with it. That's their business and that's their problem. But anyway, what I'm trying to say to you is that this software that they download is completely harmless. It will do nothing to your computer, will not do anything to your friend's computer. Maybe your friend already has Ubuntu Linux. If they do, they can download this and bam. Then they can hand you a copy of Ubuntu Linux. Now, let me scroll down just a little bit. You say, well, how am I going to download this thing? Well, what you're going to do is you're going to scroll down here, whether you're on a Microsoft machine or you're on a Linux machine, and you're going to click this button right here. And I'll zoom in just a little bit. Not too much. This is the button you're going to click. That's what's going to download and install your software. Okay? Now then, once the software is downloaded and installed, then you need to run it. Once you run it, it's going to come up with this screen right here. Hopefully you can see it. Now, there's three parts to this screen. First of all, you have to choose which version of Linux you want to run. In this case, you're going to want to run Ubuntu because it's one of the easiest ones to run. Okay? When you're taking that first step into Ubuntu Linux, you're going to want the easiest one to run, and this is pretty easy to run. Then, you have to select which website you want to get the Ubuntu Linux from. Well, it's going to give you some choices. You're going to hit that browse button right there, and it's going to give you some choices as to what you can do in the line of installing Ubuntu Linux, not onto their hard drive, but onto this. You're going to install it onto here, not onto their hard drive, because you don't want to ruin their hard drive. Okay? That's not the intent. Your intent is to install it onto this. Now, I will say at this point that if you still have a Microsoft system that's working right now, I would suggest getting your Linux all set up just in case your Microsoft system goes down. You still got a computer until you can get another Microsoft system. You can still get on the internet. You can still do things. Alright. Now, what's this third one right here? This is the most critical. Never ever install Ubuntu onto the C drive or the D drive. The C drive is the main hard drive of any Microsoft system. Back when I was much younger, we used to have floppy drives, and we had we had the 5 1/4 inch floppies, the 3 1/2 inch floppies, and those would be your A and B drives. Of course, we don't have that anymore, but back in the day, that was your A and B drives, okay? Now, your C drive has been and always will be, as far as I know, your hard drive. Unless, of course, you start running things off of thumb drives, and then that won't be the case. So any letter outside of C or D should be okay to load Linux on, because usually you won't have a computer that has hard drives C, D, E, F, G, H, I, and all the way down to the end of the alphabet. Only corporate computers have that. If you have just a personal computer, usually it will be the C drive. Okay, so avoid the C drive, avoid the D drive. Any other drive will be fine. Okay, and in this case, if I were to put this in my computer right now, if I were to put this thumb drive in there right now, what would happen is that, and I'll bring this out just a little bit, this would be the E drive. Okay? Alright, let's go on here. Once you set all 3 of these boxes, then you can hit the create button down here, and what it will do is it will format your thumb drive, okay, or flash drive, either one, and it will then install Ubuntu onto this. Then you take this with you and you take it to your old laptop. Remember, you have an old laptop here, it has a new hard drive in it, and that hard drive hasn't even been formatted. Okay? The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to boot up the computer using this. Okay? That's why I showed you all those options in F2. Okay? Once you start it up, it's going to ask you if you want to try Ubuntu without installing. Yes, that's exactly what you want to do. Once you try Ubuntu without installing, the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to click this button right here, and I believe you're going to type in the word drive, D-R-I-V-E, and you're going to click your disk like this, and it's through this area right here that you're going to actually format your drive. Okay? And there's going to be options on here, and I think this is okay, you don't want to delete the selected partition. You don't want to, okay. It's these options right here that will give you the ability to format your hard drive. And once you have formatted your hard drive, then you can tell the Ubuntu Linux on this to go ahead and install Ubuntu onto your computer. Alright, well, let's get out of this. Once you install Ubuntu, then you can install other things. And that's what we're going to talk about in my next video. And that is how you install Ubuntu. Once you have Ubuntu installed onto your hard drive after it's been formatted, remember, now you say, oh, how do I format the hard drive? Well, you're going to format it in FAT32. Now, this is in contrast to the NTSB formatting that you have to do for Microsoft. Okay? So if you're doing a computer through Microsoft, you're going to install it in NTSB. If you're going to do Ubuntu, you have to do it in FAT32. There you go. Okay. So now that you know how to install Linux, and if you have any questions, you can send them to me, and I will work with you as best as I can. Now that you know how to do this, okay, the next step that I'm going to teach to you is how to install Java into your Ubuntu machine. And the reason why you have to have Java is because you're going to put the database computer program called exist into your computer. One of the biggest things about Microsoft systems is that they just don't like Java anymore. Not JavaScript, Java. Why? I don't know. Something about Oracle and how Oracle doesn't necessarily get along with Microsoft. But that's what's going on here, folks. And if you're ever going to hope to run exist, you need to run it through Ubuntu or some other version of Linux. So, anyway, in my next video, I am going to teach you how to install Java inside Ubuntu Linux. In the meantime, I'd like to thank you very much for watching this presentation. Now you know that you can actually install Ubuntu. Now the thing is that when you're installing Ubuntu, you'll have a couple of things you'll have to do. Number one, you have to tell it what time zone you're in so your clock works properly. And I'll zoom that out. You have a clock up here, and you have to tell it what time that you're in, okay, date and time both. Then it's going to ask you if you want to set up a password. You definitely want to set up a password. Alright? As you can see, installing Ubuntu is not that hard. Not really. It does involve a few extra steps, and it's not as easy as Microsoft. Usually with Microsoft, you just put in the flash drive, and yes, you can get the Microsoft operating system on one of these. You literally can get Microsoft on this. That's kind of a new thing that they got going now. So, anyway, I want to thank you very, very much for watching this particular presentation. I will tell you more in a future video, and in those future videos I'm also going to introduce Ubuntu's versions of Office products, Microsoft Office products. Now here's the kick. Everything that runs through Linux is free. 100% free. Isn't that neat? Something you never thought about. Alright, I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. Tonight, I feel like a kid with a brand new toy. Now, you're probably wondering about this word sudo right here. I will explain that in just a second. But, if you are ever intending to install anything into Ubuntu Linux, you have to use the command line. Now, you say, well, how do I find the command line? Well, what you're going to do is you're going to hold down the control button, which is the CTRL button, and I've told you about this many times in the past. You're going to hold down the control button, the alt button, and the letter T. And when you do, you get this command line, okay? And this is what they call the command terminal, or whatever the heck you want to call it. But anyway, they have an official name for it. If you want to look it up, that's fine with me. But anyway, anytime you use this word sudo, that means that you are invoking your administrator privileges, okay? You are the administrator of your Ubuntu, okay? I'll show you this. There's your command terminal. Whoa, let's zip that down just a bit, and let's raise this up just a pinch. There we go. But anyway, this is your command terminal, alright? And you are the administrator because you're the one that installed this thing, okay? So anyway, when you invoke the sudo command, what you're saying is, I'm the administrator and I can do whatever I like to Ubuntu. And what you're going to do is when you invoke the sudo command at all, at any point, and I'm going to show you how to do this in a future video because we're going to install Java on this computer. When you invoke that command, it's going to ask you for your password. What is your password? Well, you have a password when you first start up Ubuntu, and you saw that earlier in this video. You saw that I actually had a password, and I was able to type it in, and I was actually able to get into Ubuntu, and what you're going to do is you're going to type that password into this terminal box, and when you do, then it will execute your administrative command, because you have administrative privileges, and that's how you get them. Alright? So I know this has been kind of complicated, and I'm hoping to get the rest of this done before the end of the year. If not, I will show you how to install Java onto your Ubuntu Linux sometime in January. So hang in there, folks. I know there's a lot of instructions coming up, but that's one of them. Alright? So yes, you can invoke the sudo command, and by doing so, you execute I guess that would be the best way to say it, is you execute your administrative privileges onto this system. Okay. Well, that's enough for me for tonight. Thank you very much for watching this presentation. I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned.